The cell wall provides strength and structural support to the cell and can control to some extent what types and concentrations of molecules enter and leave the cell. The materials that make up the cell wall differ depending on the type of organism. The cell wall has evolved many different times among different groups of organisms. The cell wall is a protective, semi-permeable outer layer of a plant cell surrounding certain cells outside of the membrane. As we take a closer look of a typical plant cell, you will see that the main component of the plant cell wall is cellulose, a carbohydrate that forms long fibers and gives the cell wall its rigidity. Cellulose fibers group together to form bundles called microfibrils. Other important carbohydrates include hemicellulose, pectin, and lignin. These carbohydrates form a network along with structural proteins to form the cell wall. Plant cells that are in the process of growing have primary cell walls, which are thin. Once the cell walls are fully grown, they develop secondary cell walls. The secondary cell wall is a thick layer that is formed on the inside of the primary cell wall. This layer is what is usually meant when referring to a plant cell wall. There is also another layer in between plant cells called the middle lamella. It is pectin-rich and helps plant cells stick together.
All cells have cell membranes, but generally only plants, fungi, algae, most bacteria, and archaea have cells with cell walls. The cell wall is composed of cellulose, as mentioned before, while fungi cell walls are composed of chitin. In addition to fungi, bacterial cell walls are composed of chitin to which amino acids and other molecules are bound. The cell wall provides support for the cell's structure, which allows it to carry out life functions. The cell wall also distinguishes plant cells from animal cells because animal cells do not contain them. It is also important because it protects the cell. It will only allow certain things inside the cell, keeping harmful things out. The cell wall also helps retain water and fight against water loss, such as hypertonic and hypotonic solutions. A hypotonic solution is when water is less concentrated than the cell the water surrounds. Because of this, the cell's semipermeable membrane allows water to enter the cell as it attempts to even out the solute, which causes the cell to swell with water. In a hypertonic solution, water rushes out of the cell in order to maintain equilibrium, and as a result, the cell dries out as it loses water. It eventually dies.
Without the cell wall, a plant cell would not be able to function properly. Various functions of the cell wall make it essential to the plant cell. Some of the functions of the cell wall include structure and regulation of growth. Although the cell wall is flexible, it is also strong and forms the shape of plant cells. The cell wall provides shape to the cell and can help the cell maintain its overall shape. Also, this gives plant cells a protective outside layer which can help defend from bacteria attempting to invade the cell. On top of these essential functions, the cell wall will also help the plant cell withstand turgor pressure. As plant cells take in water, a pressure is exerted causing the cell membrane to press up against the cell wall. As this pressure builds, the cell wall is strong enough to maintain its shape and absorb the pressure. Without the cell wall, turgor pressure would cause cells to lyse or explode. As much as it protects and aids the cell wall also plays a role in regulating cell growth. When growth is needed, the cell wall will send signals to the cell allowing for growth of the cell. Once this occurs, the cell wall will again send signals to the cell to begin the cell cycle and divide. Also, the cell wall assists in forming the interface between adjacent cells. Plant cells often play important roles in intercellular communication because of their surface location. Plant cell walls play a significant role in plant microbe interactions, including defense responses against potential pathogens. The desire to understand these and other plant functions help explain the strong interest in wall structure and biosynthesis.
The cell wall is one of the most vital organelles in the plant cell. Performing cellular activities would be made difficult without the support and assistance of the cell wall.